a car today? Raise your hands, come on. Nice. Now how many people are planning on owning a car in the future? All right, me too. Right, chances are most of you will have to face off with car dealerships at one point in your life, and they love to squeeze every single cent they can out of you. Now, it may be hard to believe, but most dealers in the pursuit of profits often resort to deceptive practice and even fraud. Now, of course, this is illegal under the Consumer Legal Remedies Act, according to Donnet Tony Dan, running for the San Diego Union in August of 2000. And of course, that is still applicable today, California law. Now, in preparation for that day, you stroll into a dealership. Whether you're trading in, making a first-time purchase, or even leasing a car, I like to talk about 3 major ways car salespeople can pressure unwitting buyers into making less than optimal financial decisions. Now, first I'm going to talk about bait and switch, then we're going to go to yo-yo financing, and lastly, to wrap it up, lowballing. Now, one of the most common tactics dealerships use to get potential car buyers is something called the bait and switch. Now, it literally baits customers in with a car and then switches that bait with another car for the last second. Now, they may advertise great cars, but when you get in there, you might be surprised to find like more expensive models of the car you want at higher prices, or even lower, cheaper ones, but not the actual car in the advertisement. Now, for example, right here, we see this nice Audi A6 2016 US model for $369 a month, right? And they advertise the navigation, you got the backup camera, parking sensors, which all sounds great. But what if I were to say that at the time you got in there and you actually settled down to sign the paperwork, suddenly you had this huge itemized deduction list, and you only found out that they weren't actually advertising or offering you navigation, backup camera, parking sensors all inside, right, and included for the 369. Maybe those are actually extra options. And then this kind of little form of bait and switch, of course, they could offer you a completely different car and say, hey, we only have one of these and it already sold on Monday. Now, but more importantly, this tactic is highly legal, not to mention immoral, and is highly common nowadays. Now, on March 30th, 2016, Noah Cohen, writing for NJ.com or NewJersey.com, told how European Auto Expo, a car dealership, was actually sued by the Division of Consumer Affairs for omitting important explanatory disclaimers from advertisements and obscuring pricing details with misleading fine print. In addition, on June 4th, 2016, which is a couple weeks ago, Siobhan Walker, reporting for the Salisbury Post, shed light on how Auto House dealership was raided by DMV inspectors for mislabeling vehicles and raising prices, not to mention other stuff they did was terrible. And this was brought to light by customers who had bought vehicles already from them, and all too late realized what had happened, and they realized this deceptive marketing. Now, as you can see, bait and switch is actually highly common and runs rampant in the US. In fact, over 10 dealers just this year have been caught, and you can clearly see it's alive and well. And this is something I'd like people to be vigilant of the next time you end up in a used car dealer lot or even a new car dealer. Now, unfortunately, avoiding this financial pitfall alone does not preclude you from getting swindled by other car salesman tactics. The second way unethical dealers con car buyers is by using something called yo-yo financing. And Eileen Ambrose of the Tribune Business News on April 10th, 2012 described yo-yo financing as what happens when you drive off the lot with your brand new car, and then days or weeks later, you get a call from the dealership letting you know that the financing fell through, and they elect you to return the car. Now, at this point, you have 2 options. The first thing would do as a buyer of that car would be to return it, get your down payment back, get your trade-in car if you had one, and just find another car dealer to go to. Now, or you could actually renegotiate for a second financial loan, which often is offered at a higher interest rate. Now, unfortunately, for most consumers, they actually choose that second option there, and do end up negotiating for a higher or worse loan at a higher interest rate. Now, the FTC reports surveying data from throughout 2011. Delvin Davis found that 3 things about these yo-yo financing in auto loans. Now, first, sad as it may seem, dealers do tend to target people with worse credit or no credit at all for these scams or schemes that are just in bad faith. And second, out of 590 people with auto financing problems, 27.2% had experienced a yo-yo scam. They were been threatened by legal action by these dealerships. They had trouble getting back their down payment, or even had issues getting back the trading vehicles they used to get that car. Third, as I previously mentioned, the majority do end up signing a second contract at a worse percentage rate or interest. As you can see, it's easy for uninformed customers to be bullied or enticed by these car dealerships and the situation is only resolved with legal counsel, which of course costs more money, not to mention time. Now, actually, speaking of this story of yo-yo financing, I had a friend who personally experienced this actual trap. They had walked into a dealership with a pre-approved loan, and that same day they walked out with a brand new Miata. Unfortunately, 2 days later, they got a call from the dealership letting them know that their pre-approved loan had fell through. Now, while this wasn't a strict case of yo-yo financing, as the dealership didn't initiate that loan, they did have to end up returning the dealership and did eventually end up signing for a worse financial deal at a higher interest rate. Now, as you can see, the car dealerships have numerous shady tactics up their sleeves to trap consumers into paying much more than they should for a car. However, I like to bring up one last final method used to trick car buyers. Now, the last way consumers may fall prey to unconscionable dealers is by getting lowballed. Now, lowballed is when James Bell in a video clip published January 7, 2011 about Video Judge Acknowledging Cars explained how lowballing is when customers agree on a price with a salesperson. They sit down at the table to finish out the paperwork, and halfway through the salesperson lets them know, oh, by the way, that actual price we agreed upon, oh yeah, we can't do that, sorry. So of course, and then they negotiate for a higher priced car. Now, due to the emotional attachment to that future car, consumers often choose to go along with this renegotiation and end up paying more than they originally agreed upon. Now, fortunately, Bell offers a simple solution. Just walk away, go to a better dealership that isn't shady like this, find the exact same car, same color, same options, everything you want, and get a fair price for it. There are better dealers out there. However, this is an effective strategy. William Motes, Reginald Brown, Hazel Ezel, and Gail Hudson, in a study published in Psychology and Marketing, published in the summer of 1986, and yes, it's kind of old, found that despite the ease in avoiding getting lowballed, it's still highly effective, which is why it's used nowadays. Now, they actually use two strategies, or two versions of lowballing to test in their study. The first is what we see in a regular car dealership. They advertise an item as being on sale, or a car in this case, and then you go for that price, and then later on, like I explained in my first example, then they just raise the price and jack it up. Now, the second item, or in their second strategy, they might market an item as a 3-for-1 deal, and then and just market it as on sale. Regardless, the results of the study show that 68% of subjects actually accepted the initial offer or sale, regardless of which method was chosen. But more importantly, 96% of the 68% recipients, which is kind of confusing, but almost all those people that accepted the initial offer, they still accepted the deal after the price was raised. So lowballing is highly effective, to say the least, and it's clear why it's still used by many businesses, including dealerships today. Including car dealerships. Now, as you can see, these are about 3 of the ways morally bankrupt dealerships attempt to part customers from their hard-earned cash. Now, by casting out bait, looping customers in, promising loans they know will fail, or bouncing customers to and fro from the dealership to their house between the car, or simply understating the real cost of the vehicle, car salespeople set up many financial traps that I hope no one would have to fall for. While not all dealerships practice these unsavory methods, there still exist many here in the US today that can, do, and will use these methods on unwary consumers. With that being said, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, and I hope that this information comes in handy in the future.